In today's information age, the U.S. faces a difficult balancing act, protecting free speech while confronting the growing threat of misinformation. At the heart of this debate is the First Amendment, which guarantees that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. This protection is one of the strongest in the world. In general, the government cannot punish speech simply because it is false or offensive. As the Supreme Court ruled in United States v. Alvarez, even false statements are often protected under the First Amendment. However, the rise of social media and artificial intelligence has complicated this landscape. Platforms like Facebook's, X, YouTube, and TikTok allow billions to instantly share information. But with that comes the rapid spread of misinformation. From public health falsehoods during the COVID-19 pandemic to misleading claims about elections. A 2021 Pew Research study found that about half of Americans say made-up news and misinformation are a very big problem for the country today. AI tools add a new layer of complexity. Deepfakes, or hyper-realistic audio and video fabrications, can impersonate political leaders or spread completely false narratives. According to the Brookings Institution, advancements in generative AI make it increasingly difficult for the public to distinguish real from fake content, raising serious concerns about election interference and public trust. This leads to the question, should the government or private companies regulate misinformation? The government's ability to regulate speech is tightly limited. Content-based restrictions are almost always unconstitutional, unless they fall into very narrow exceptions, such as incitement to violence, defamation, or fraud. Instead, much of the responsibility has fallen on private companies. Platforms set their own community guidelines and have removed or labeled content that they deem harmful. But this has sparked its own debate. Some argue that these efforts amount to censorship, while others see them as necessary for public safety. In 2022, the Supreme Court agreed to hear multiple cases, including Moody v. NetChoice and NetChoice v. Paxton, which address whether states can restrict how platforms moderate content. These cases could reshape the legal boundaries of content moderation and free speech online. The challenge of misinformation sits at the intersection of constitutional law, technology, and public trust. Protecting free speech remains essential, but managing the risks of false information, especially as technology evolves, will continue to test America's legal and ethical framework in the years ahead.